Hi everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're located. I want to welcome you to the second session in the program Struggling and Juggling. At one time, 3Plus had a program Struggling to Juggle, but with the pandemic, I think we all know that everybody can be both juggling and struggling. So today we're going to talk about creating a plan and an online job search. How do you go about that? So let's set out a brief agenda, and I'm going to do a recap of session one. I think it's really important to have your basics anchored, because it's like building a house. If your foundation isn't there, you're going to get wobbles and maybe even disaster. We're going to talk about creating an online strategy for your job search, and then converting that into a 9-step online job search plan. And then finally, we're going to show you how you can deliver it. So my name is Dorothy Dalton, for those of you who don't know me, and I'm the founder of 3Plus International, and I work in the area of HR consulting and supporting organizations to build inclusive and gender balanced workplaces. And that obviously involves making sure that people are in the right jobs and they find the right candidates. And I obviously work with individuals to help them reach their potential, whether you're currently in a job or you're out on the job market. So let's have a brief recap of the basics. So talking about jugglers and strugglers. So at the moment, as we discussed last time, it's very difficult with people either being stuck at home or childcare closed or schools on vacation. All of these things are making very, very difficult for people to function in any way normally. I mean, we've probably all lost any idea of what normal is. So this is a short coaching session designed to guide you on some basics. At least you will have the framework in place to go about looking for a job. So let's recap on session one. And it's really important that your vision and values, your goals, that you have a good understanding of those. I think if you've downloaded the career reflection worksheets, you should have those in writing. It helps if you write things down. It also helps if you share them. We talked about that last time. If you haven't downloaded the session, go back and download it. Then you should know what your hard skills are. I'm going to talk about that in greater depth in a minute. They're learned and measurable. Important are soft skills. And we're going to talk about where you incorporate those into your job search. And finally, you need to know what your personal development needs are. I don't use the term weakness, because we all have areas where we need to learn and improve. And continuous learning is now what is called the new pension. So we all have to adapt and learn new skills all the time. So these are the 9 steps you take to create an online strategy, or even a strategy not online. It's just a basic framework. So one of the first things you do when you think, I need to find another job, what do you do? Well, the first thing you look at is the location, right? And it might be in your geographic area. It might be in another location. Or what is coming into play increasingly frequently, it might be remote. And that is opening up a whole pile of opportunities that didn't exist before. If you're very focused on working locally, and I know that some people are, I've worked with people who want to walk 30 minutes. They want to walk 30 minutes to work every day. So just do a circle around where you live and Google Maps, and put in a list of industry or businesses or consultants, whatever it is, and they will generate a whole list in your area. So really, really easy to do. Then you look at the sector that refines your search. You might be very focused on specific sectors. You might be focused on specific industries within that sector. And you might then be focused on the type of organization that you want to work in. Now, this is also about knowing yourself. I mean, do you want to work in a big multinational with massive opportunities, or do you prefer maybe a small firm or business which is part of the local community? You might even consider being in a business unit which is part of a big group. So all of these factors are important about the knowing yourself piece and the self-awareness. Then you look at the function that you might want to do and the type of role. And it might be that you want to continue on your current path, or you might want to do a career pivot. And I'm going to show you a little bit how you can go about that. Then what I suggest you do is, given these 6 elements, right, that you make a list of 20 companies. Some career coaches say go for 40 or 50. I'm all about making things manageable. So start with 20 and then increase when you've done your 20. I prefer you to be thorough and then move on. And rather than, if it's too big, well, if you're like me, if it's too big, it gets a bit overwhelming. And then these are my 2 favorite words, which you heard last time: research and networking. So both are really important. Everybody with me? So how do you go about creating a job search map? Well, the first thing to do, you have to make a commitment, okay? You have to say, I am going to look for another job, and this is how much time I'm going to devote to it. And you have to then share it with an accountability partner, so someone can hold you accountable. And by that, I mean, if you've made a commitment to research 2 companies a day or to reach out to 3 new connections, then share it with someone who has the same drive and ambition as you do. You might share it with someone who says, yeah, it doesn't matter, put your feet up and eat chocolates and watch Netflix. No, share it with someone who will hold you to account. I often don't advise using romantic partners and people in close relationship, because sometimes that can be a bit of a power issue and create relationship issues. So pick someone neutral, friend, family member, outside, or someone who can be neutral. And create a workspace. And I know that this isn't easy, because with confinement, if you've got kids at home or the kids are on vacation, or you're co-working with your partner, because a lot of organizations, particularly in Europe, are not back to the office full-time, maybe not for another 3 to 6 months. So try and carve out a little space, even if you buy a plastic box from Amazon, and at the end of every day, you just pop everything in the box and put it in the corner, but make sure that that space is yours. Then you make a schedule. And once again, there are some coaches who say, well, get up at 4 and give yourself quite punishing schedules. I'm all about finding the best solution for you and what works for you. And if you work better in the mornings, or you work better in the evenings, or your kids are at I don't know, playgroup, or you have this space where you can do it, then what it is, particularly today, is seizing every available opportunity. So if you can plan ahead, or you can share with your partner, I need you to take the kids at this time because I'm going to be looking for a job, well, make sure you do that. And then you have to prioritize your tasks. I mean, what is the most important thing to do? I'm going to talk about things you should be doing daily and which might require follow-up, but you have to do whatever is the most important thing for you. And then finally, and what I found and other coaches find, is that people quite often only seek help when they are desperate. And if you have been pursuing a job search path for 6 months without results, the job market is buoyant at the moment. Everybody's surprised, but it is. So it might be a signal that you need to get help, because no news is a message that you are not doing something right. So please don't struggle and dig yourself deeper into a hole. They say that the first rule of holes is to stop digging. So don't. Find someone to help you. So I don't want to overwhelm you with stats, but one of the reasons I put these up is because just to show you the power of the internet and how job search has changed. So this is very important to older job seekers who may not have looked for a job for 5, 6 years or even more. Okay, so the job search landscape has dramatically changed, and there's one thing that I want to draw your attention to, and that is the 30 million job postings every year. Okay, so 99% of recruiters say that they source candidates from LinkedIn, and I still know people who are reluctant to complete their LinkedIn profile. We're going to talk about this in another session. But really important that you are on LinkedIn or another career platform like Zing or VAD or one of those. The other important thing to note is that the average adult spends over 2 hours a day on their devices. And you get a breakdown. I suggest you set up an alert from your phone, tells you how many hours you're spending on your device. It is totally horrifying. But what I want you to do is to make sure that you use that time, not so much posting pictures of your kids or your cat or your dinner or whatever, but use that time to focus on job search. And that is time well spent. And then when you have a job, you can go back to posting those family photos. One of the things that you might find a little bit confusing is some of the information that you read online about how people get jobs. And this is information I pulled from Statista. It's from 2018, but it was published in 2019, so it's probably less than 2 years old. And what they're showing is that career sites and job boards actually do play a much bigger role than people say, right? Obviously through recruitment agencies, headhunters, and referrals. And referrals are people who recommend you, and networking. In looser terms, quite often people will share jobs which are on job boards or on career pages with their network. So I'm not undermining any information you might have seen on networking, because it is a valuable piece of information, but it is not as clear cut, and different geographies have different nuances, and it's really important to use some data, and this is the most helpful that I can find. A lot of the research tends to be US based, and if you're not in the US, then sometimes that data doesn't necessarily apply to your geographic region. Now let's go back to hard skills and how you use your hard skills. So your hard skills are learned and measurable, as we know. And so when you're looking for a job, you have to understand what they are. So you've already made a list of these from the first session, right? And you can download that if you go to the career shop. And what it will include will be your education, your job title, and what we call transferable skills. And these will be, and I'm going to talk about these now, key words associated with your role. So if you're in an HR manager, it might be things to do with recruitment or talent management or interviewing or job performance or employee engagement. All of these are keywords. If you're using a job title, and which is going to be helpful, sometimes different organizations call different jobs by different names. So an HR manager might be called an HR business partner, or it might be called a people officer. There are all sorts of titles that different organizations have. So once again, this is part of the research that you're going to have to do when you sit down and do your research. So make a list of the possible job titles that could be of interest. Now, this is going to sound a bit crazy. Don't use your soft skill, okay? I'll give you a really good example. Have you ever seen an advert for someone who is lazy and inefficient? No, you haven't. You have never seen that. So you don't need to put that you're hardworking and efficient or organized, okay? What you have to do is you have to demonstrate that, and we're going to talk about that when we talk about your success stories for your LinkedIn profile and your CV. So there will be some soft skills which are important, but they are almost their own professions. So like negotiation or diplomacy, all of these things, relationship management, that is also both a hard and a soft skill. So don't get caught up in what I call pudding words. They are high in calories and they don't do you a lot of good. They just like sit around making you fat. So make sure that you're very focused on the choice of words that you select. And this is the research. You've got to do this. So all of this is ongoing. You are never stopping. And as I've said to you before, don't get caught in that rabbit hole of seeing a link. Oh, I'm going to look at that. That looks really interesting. And an hour later, you emerge and you're no further forward. So pay attention to your focus. And if you find yourself drifting off, do some mindfulness exercises. I downloaded a meditation app. It just helps bring you back to making sure that you're staying on task. Because very often it's not time management issues that we have, it's focus issues. This is an interesting development that's come out recently, and this is something put forward by LinkedIn, and it's called LinkedIn Career Explorer, and you can see the link there. So it's linkedin.github.io /career explorer. And if you go on there, it's possible, and I've taken a screenshot of the landing page, it's possible where you can put in key skills and you can see what other occupations that come up. And if you dig deeper into the site, you can put in your city and they will actually flag up openings. At the moment, it's very US focused, but still it might generate some ideas for those of you who are wanting to move from one occupation to another. So really worth focusing on that. And then obviously it's all about networking and finding people in the organizations that you want to join and talking to them for information, finding what's going on in there, getting an understanding of the corporate culture, basically just expanding your reach, because if you live in a bubble, no one is going to know that you're there. Okay. And if people don't know who you are invisible, basically. When you are looking for 20 companies, this is what I suggest that you look for when you're going through them as part of your research program or your research activity. You can identify people in your network or in the network that you think may be helpful. It might be the HR manager, it might be someone in the department that you want to join, it might be even the CEO that generates input. So it's really, really important to have a broad list of people that you can, you think will be able to help you. And then you can see if they're active on LinkedIn. And if you go to their profiles, you can see if they've been active within 90 days. If they're not active on LinkedIn, and quite a lot of people aren't, they're probably not going to be a huge amount of help to you. But keep an eye on it and to see what they do. What you can do is follow them. They will get a message to know that you have started following them, and that should be helpful. Engage with what they post on LinkedIn and see what they're up to. And quite often, if I've engaged with someone, I'll say, loved your post on some HR issue that I'm interested in. I would be delighted to connect on LinkedIn. And honestly, once you've got that personal connection, people rarely reject you. And the connection message should always be personalized. Okay, so really important that you do all of those things. If these people are not on LinkedIn or not active on LinkedIn, then you look for your network and to see if you personally know anyone who can introduce you. And it might be someone else you've identified that you build up a relationship with. And you say, I would be really interested to an introduction to whoever it is, and hopefully that they will help you in that way. But whatever you do, do not pitch the minute you connected with someone, because that is a real turn off, and quite quite often could just get you disconnected. So take time to build up the relationship, and that's really important. Now, this is what I want you to do on a daily basis, just to set up daily checks and alerts. So obviously you're looking at career pages, and they will send you a message if they're posting a new job. You want to be on LinkedIn for alerts for the jobs that you are looking for. And if you go into the job section on LinkedIn, it's quite straightforward, but I'm going to show you that in another session. I have a job search alert called Now Hiring, because a lot of people just post in their streams that we're hiring, and that way you can pick up jobs like that, and it generates not a huge amount, but it does generate you know, a reasonable number of opportunities. You check your mail and you check your feed, your LinkedIn stream. There's also been a lot of debate about putting the green circle, which is open to work. You will find that there is it's quite a polarizing issue for some reason, because unemployment bias is quite strong in some areas. I think it's stronger in the US than it is in Europe. But I would definitely put it in, and unless you don't feel comfortable. But the other thing that you can do, which is maybe a little more discreet, if you put in your profile somewhere hashtag ONO, so open to new opportunities, or hashtag open to work. And that means that if any headhunters or recruiters are searching using those hashtags, you will come up, and I do it all the time. So that's an important tip. So just let's do a little summary. You have to commit to the process, you have to create an online strategy, and you have to follow the 9-step plan, and then you have to deliver. So no shortcuts, no magic sauce. It's down to you, and you have to get it done. And the most important thing is, if you get stuck, do not go under, ask for help. So this is something that you can download. It's a free download. So daily LinkedIn routine for today's super busy woman. So just some small steps that you can take every day. And please sign up for our e-gazine for daily updates. They're published weekly, so you're not going to get inundated, but we put out a lot of information on that. So thank you so much. Please make sure that you connect with me. I'm Dorothy Dalton. You can find me on LinkedIn, on the website, and I'm always on Twitter. I'm a bit of a Twitter addict. And please email me if you want any further information. So coming soon is we're going to identify your transferable skills to create a strong LinkedIn profile and CV. So thank you very much, everybody. I really appreciate that.